Good evening, YouTube. Hardball Crazy come back with a video. Tonight I got a one card special mail day. Got it a little bit ago. As you tell by the video, he may be considered the first great Yankee catcher. Um, I only recently learned about him and I read about him and say, wow, he was really good. How come I've never heard him before? How come he's not known among us baseball enthusiasts? So I'm going to talk about him, talk about this card I got, but let's talk about the Yankee catchers lineage, the great catchers of the past. I'm going to start with the most recent one. It's probably Jorge Posada. This is a 94 Bowman's Best rookie card. I would probably say he's the most recent best catcher. Then there's Thurman Munson, the captain. And then you go back to Elston Howard, 64 tops. He's actually the first black Yankee. Broke the color barrier for the New York Yankees. And of course, the one and only Yogi Berra. And the first Hall of Fame Yankee catcher, Bill Dickey. Now, who am I referring to as the first great Yankee catcher? He only played there for 5 years, but once the Yankees, when the Yankees become what we know as the Yankees now, start becoming a championship caliber franchise, he was the starting catcher, and he was probably one of the, I don't say the stars of the team, but he was definitely a key figure of the team. Who am I talking about? He's not. This picture's not as a Yankee, but it's around his time of his rookie year with the Philadelphia A's. I'm going to talk about the player, his career here in a minute. This is the 1914 T222 Fatima, I believe it's pronounced right. Some people call it Fatima, but I think it's pronounced Fatima. Wally Shang. Here is a picture of the Philadelphia A's. That's where he broke in with the 1914 with the Philadelphia A's. He came in as a split in time with another catcher, but the A's won. By the time the A's went to the World Series, Mr. Shang here got most of the playing days with the World Series, most of the starts as a starter catching. He won the World A's won the World Series in 1914, and soon after 1914, a couple of stars with the Federal League and the first really breakup of the Philadelphia A's under Connie Mack. He was bought out by the Boston Red Sox. In 1918 World Series, the Boston Red Sox, he was the starting catcher of that team and won the World Series. And then, of course, Harry Frazee at the time we all know about. He tried to finance his Broadway play and sold Babe Ruth. Of course, he sold other stars too. Babe Ruth was obviously the most notable, and Shang was also sold to New York Yankees. He was the New York Yankees catcher when they first won the pennants in 1921 and 1922, and their first World Series championship in 1923, the first year that in Yankee Stadium, Shang was the starting catcher. So he won 3 World Series titles with 3 different catchers, 5 pennants, and after about 5 years, the Yankees moved on. He played for the Browns. I think he came back with the A's and finished his career with the Tigers. So he played about 19 years. 1931, I think, his last year. So about 1914, 1931 was his whole career. A little bit about Wally Shang. More about him is that he's actually the first player in Major League Baseball history to hit home runs from both sides of the plate in one game. He was a very athletic catcher. He was known to play a little bit of third base in the outfield. Even though he was a great defensive catcher, he had once threw out 5 base runners, would-be base stealers in one game, and had 8 assists in one game as a catcher. His stats, he's kind of midway through the dead ball era into the pro era, so his stats is kind of knocked down a little bit because part of his career, first 5-6 years of his career, is the dead ball era. But if you look at all-time Hall of Fame catchers, Wally Shang has a higher WAR even than Bill Freehand or Thurman Munson. So he was a very good catcher, and many regard him as possibly the best American League catcher ever pre-1930, like pre-Mickey Cochrane or so. And one writer said that the only thing lacking in Wally Shang's career is notoriety. And that might be true even today. He's like one of 8 or 9 catchers with career 100 stolen bases, so he was quite the fine catcher. And his World Series slash line was equally just as good as his career hitter. He's a career like 280 hitter, 390 on base, 400 slugging. Of course, the slugging, like I mentioned before, was not so high because he played a lot in the dead ball era. This is 1914 Fatima. Of course, the Fatimas are mostly known for the team player cards. They also made player cards, usually known for the team photo cards. This is actually the only year they made it. It says on the back, it says 100 cards. If you could read it, it says there are 100 photo cards of famous baseball players, but the set, it also includes some track stars or so, and I think the set was actually 50 some different cards or so. And in the 60s with including track, so we don't really not 100 cards. The set collectors believe this maybe fought in the mid 50s or so of the set. This PSA 2's got a few creases on it, but that's okay. It doesn't take away from the eye appeal. I think it's still a great looking card. The cards itself is super paper thin, super thin. So if you're trying to find one in good condition and without creases or anything, it's very hard to find. So I think this is a great looking card, Mr. Wally Shang, perhaps one of the top pre-war players that we may not know of. And I think he was a fine player where I read about him. So if you want to learn more about Mr. Wally Shang, here you go. He's in Cracker Jack sets. He's in some of the American Caramel sets and stuff. There's cards of him out there if you're into collecting Mr. Shang. There's some exhibit cards too. There you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video. And thank you for watching.